My sister stood frozen, her hands twisting together, the color drained from her face. The stack of letters lay scattered on the floor, and the photograph of my husband smiling at someone else burned in my hand like fire. "Tell me," I whispered, my voice trembling, "what is all of this? Who is he, and why am I only seeing this now?" She swallowed hard, as if the weight of her own words might crush her. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she said finally, her voice barely audible. I promised him I would protect you from this." "Protect me?" I repeated, my anger and grief flaring. "Protect me from what? From knowing the truth? From realizing he was, what? Leading a double life?" Tears brimmed in her eyes. "It's not what you think, at least, not completely. He wasn't just hiding it from you. He wanted to keep you safe. I never understood everything, but I know he cared. That's why he never told you." I shook my head, feeling dizzy. Safe? Safe from what? My entire life with him, was it a lie? Did I even know him at all? She hesitated, then stepped closer. "You have to see this," she said, pulling a folder from beneath the couch cushions. Inside were documents, photographs, and receipts. My hands trembled as I took them, and my eyes widened in shock. There were pictures of my husband meeting someone secretly, someone I couldn't place at first. Receipts from hotels, dinners, late-night flights. But it wasn't what it seemed. Not entirely. He was helping her, my sister said, nodding toward one of the photographs. She was in trouble, dangerous trouble. He promised to protect her, and he did everything he could without you knowing. Every secret, every lie, it was for her and for you. I sank into the chair, my mind racing. Protect her, from what? My sister swallowed hard, her lips quivering. From her husband, her family. They were abusive, controlling. He made a choice to intervene, to save her from everything. He never wanted you to know because he knew it would hurt you, and he didn't want to risk losing you either. The truth hit me like a tidal wave. Everything I thought I knew about him, the man I mourned, the husband I loved, had layers I had never even imagined. Secrets of courage, danger, sacrifice, and love intertwined with the lies that had kept me in the dark. I looked down at the photograph again. The smile I had once thought was meant only for someone else, now made sense. It wasn't betrayal. It was a promise, a vow he kept silently, knowing the weight it would carry if I ever found out. My sister knelt beside me. "He wanted to tell you, eventually, but it ran out. That's why I hid it. I didn't want you to face the truth in your grief without understanding the love behind it." My hands shook as I sifted through the documents. Hotel receipts, bank transfers, even letters addressed to this woman, all showing a man who had risked everything to help someone in need. My grief twisted with confusion, anger, and an overwhelming sense of awe. "So, he died," I whispered, voice barely audible, "and I never knew. I never even knew part of his life existed. And now," my sister took a deep breath, "now you do. And now, you have a choice. You can mourn him with the truth in your hands, or you can continue to see him only as you did before. But the truth, it changes everything." I closed my eyes, letting the weight of her words settle. My husband's life, the man I loved, the man I thought I knew, had been far more complex than I could ever have imagined. Fear, danger, love, sacrifice, all hidden behind the mask of ordinary life. And I realized, with a strange, cold certainty, that the story I had told myself, about his death, about our marriage, about everything I believed, was only part of the truth. Something in me shifted. Grief now mingled with wonder, with awe, with a strange sense of pride. The man I had loved had been braver than I ever knew, and as I looked at my sister, I realized I was no longer just mourning a husband. I was discovering the secret hero he had been, and the impact of his choices was far greater than I had ever imagined. A chill ran down my spine as I whispered to no one in particular, everything I thought I knew, it's gone. And yet, somehow, I understand it all now. The quiet in my sister's house felt different now. It wasn't eerie, it wasn't empty, it was alive with the weight of truth, and the power of a secret finally revealed. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking as I held the last envelope, the weight of the truth pressing down like a physical force. My sister sat silently, watching me, knowing that whatever was coming next could break me completely. I opened it slowly, my fingers trembling, and inside was a letter, one my husband had written to me before his death, but had never sent. His handwriting was careful, deliberate, filled with pauses I could almost feel. I began to read, and the world around me seemed to fall away. "My love, if you are reading this, it means I am gone. I need you to understand something before grief blinds you entirely. There are things I could never tell you, because telling you would have put you in danger, and I could never bear the thought of harming you. My life was more complicated than you ever imagined. I swallowed hard. My chest felt tight, almost as though I couldn't draw enough air to survive the words. There is someone I have been protecting, someone who needed me, someone I promised I would never let harm come to. Every decision I made, every secret I kept, was to ensure her safety and yours. I loved you always, but some truths could not be shared, not while the danger existed. I gasped, tears streaming down my face. He risked everything for someone else? I whispered. My sister nodded, tears of her own in her eyes. Not instead of you. For both of you. He never wanted you to suffer. That's why he kept it hidden. I couldn't stop shaking. The grief I had carried, the anger I had felt at his absence, all of it collided with something I had never expected, or respect, and a deep, aching understanding. Then, another letter fell out of the envelope, smaller, folded multiple times, stained with what looked like old tears. My hands trembled as I unfolded it, and my eyes widened as I recognized the handwriting. It wasn't my husband's. It was from her, the woman he had been protecting, to the woman he loved most. If you are reading this, it means he has gone. I owe you the truth. He saved me from a life I could never have escaped on my own, and he did it knowing the cost. I hope you understand, someday, that his choices were acts of love, not betrayal, and I hope you can forgive me for even existing in his life and never being able to tell you in person. I dropped the letter. My knees buckled. He never betrayed me, I whispered. It wasn't betrayal. It was sacrifice. Love. My sister's hand found mine, holding it tightly. Yes, she said. That's exactly it. Every secret, every lie, every hidden action, it was all love. And he trusted you enough to keep his promise, even though it killed him to do it in silence. I sank into the chair, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what I had just discovered. My husband had been living a life of quiet heroism, shielding someone from harm while keeping me safe. And in his silence, he had loved me in ways I could never have imagined. I thought about the funeral, the mourners, the flowers, the speeches. All of it felt small now, insignificant compared to the vast, hidden truths I had just uncovered. I realized that I had mourned not only the loss of my husband, but the loss of understanding, the life we had shared, hidden behind layers of courage and secrecy. Tears blurred my vision as I whispered, almost to myself, I would have understood. I would have forgiven everything. My sister nodded. You still can, and you must, not for him, for you, for your peace, for your life. I looked at her, realizing that my grief, my anger, my heartbreak, all of it could be transformed. Because the man I loved, the man I thought I knew, had been more than just a husband. He had been a protector, a hero, and a soul capable of love so vast it could carry the weight of a hidden world. A long silence settled over the room. The quiet was not heavy this time. It was full of understanding, of awe, and of the first fragile steps toward healing. I picked up the letters again, reading every word, savoring every nuance, every hidden sacrifice, every quiet act of love. It changed everything I had believed about him, about our life together, and about myself. And as the sun began to set outside my sister's house, casting long shadows through the windows, I felt something I hadn't felt since his death: clarity. I understood him. I forgave him. And for the first time, I felt ready to face the world and my own life without him, but with the truth in my hands, a truth that would guide me forever. The room felt like it had shrunk around me. The letters lay scattered on the floor, but it was as if they had opened a door inside me that could never be closed. I looked at my sister, her eyes filled with guilt, fear, and something I couldn't quite name. I need to know everything, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. No more hiding. No more secrets. Her lips trembled. She took a deep breath, as if she were about to release a lifetime of held-back truths. There's more, she admitted. I didn't just find out after your husband. I knew some things while he was still alive. I promised him I'd protect you from them, from knowing. But now, her voice cracked, and she swallowed hard. Now, you deserve the truth. I took a step closer, my heart pounding. Tell me, everything. She hesitated, then nodded. He wasn't just protecting her, he was protecting both of you. There was a man, someone dangerous, someone who had been threatening her for years. Your husband made it his mission to keep her safe, to keep you safe from any connection to that danger. Every secret, every lie, every hidden meeting, it was all part of keeping both of you out of harm's way. I felt my knees weaken. All this time, he did this for me, and I didn't even know. Tears blurred my vision. Yes, and he trusted me to make sure you were never caught in the crossfire. I sank into a chair, trying to process the magnitude of it all. My husband, the man I thought I had known, had been living a life of quiet courage, placing himself in danger, keeping secrets, and loving me all the while. Every argument, every misunderstanding, every frustration we had shared seemed insignificant now, dwarfed by the sheer bravery of his hidden acts. And that's not all, my sister continued. There's one more thing, something he wanted you to know eventually, but he didn't have the time. She hesitated, then handed me a small, folded envelope. This is from him. He wanted you to have it if anything ever happened to him. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a letter, his handwriting unmistakable, each word deliberate, heavy with meaning. My love, if you are reading this, it means I am gone. I want you to know that every choice I made, every secret I kept, was because I loved you. Not because I doubted you, not because I didn't trust you, but because I needed to protect you from the world I could never fully explain. And I promise, even in death, I am with you in every step, every breath, every decision. Forgive me, but understand that everything I did for you. My hand shook, the letter slipping slightly, and I pressed it to my chest, feeling a warmth that contrasted sharply with the cold grief I had carried for weeks. My sister watched silently, her eyes pleading for understanding. He loved you more than anything. Every lie, every secret, it was love, and he trusted you to find the truth when the time came. I looked at her, my anger, my grief, my confusion, all melting into clarity. And now I know, I said quietly, my voice breaking. Now I finally understand him. And I forgive him. I forgive him for keeping the secrets, for protecting, for loving in silence. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. You deserve that peace. You deserve to know the full truth before moving forward. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. For the first time since the funeral, I felt free from anger, free from doubt, free from the weight of unknown truths. Thank you, I whispered, my voice soft but firm, for telling me, for protecting me, for finally letting me see everything. My sister reached for my hand. We can move forward now, she said, together, with the truth in our hands. And in that moment, I realized something profound. Grief can teach you the weight of love, but truth can teach you the depth of it. The man I had lost had lived a life of silent heroism, and I had finally been allowed to witness it. For the first time, I understood that life isn't just about what you see, but what lies beneath, the choices people make in shadows, the sacrifices they carry, and the love that never wavers, even when it cannot be spoken. I looked at my sister, and we shared a quiet nod, a mutual understanding that everything had changed, but we were stronger for it. And somewhere, deep in my chest, I felt a flicker of hope, a hope that even in loss, in secrets, in grief, love endures. Always, after the confrontation, the house felt almost alive with a strange energy. The grief that had weighed me down all morning had transformed into a sharp clarity. I held the letters close to my chest, my heart pounding, my mind spinning with what I now knew about my husband. Every hidden act, every secret, every quiet decision he had made, it wasn't betrayal, it was love, courage, and protection. But even as I processed it, a small, nagging question lingered in the back of my mind. My sister had told me much, yet I sensed there was one final truth she had yet to reveal. Tell me, I said softly, gripping her hand. Is there more? Something else I need to know? Her eyes widened slightly, and she hesitated. The silence stretched long enough that I thought she might walk away without speaking. Then she drew a deep breath. Yes, she admitted, there's one last thing. One secret he entrusted only to me, a truth he wanted you to discover only when you were ready. My heart pounded in my chest. What is it? She reached into a drawer and pulled out a small, locked box. It was old, the kind of thing you might keep hidden in a closet for decades. She handed it to me, her hands trembling. He asked me to give this to you only after his death, she whispered. He said it contained the answers to questions he could never speak aloud, about his past, his choices, and about you. I took the box, my fingers shaking. It felt heavier than it should, as if the weight of the secrets inside pressed against my palms. I opened it slowly. Inside were photographs, letters, and a small key attached to a tiny chain. I pulled out the first letter. It was in his handwriting, but different, formal, deliberate, almost as if he were documenting a history he could never share in conversation. To the woman I love beyond measure. If you are reading this, it means you have endured the pain of my absence and the confusion of my secrets. Everything I have done in my life, every hidden act, every choice I made in silence, has been to protect, to love, and to guide you, even from afar. I leave you this box because there is one truth that I could never say aloud, a truth that will finally set both of us free. My hands trembled as I pulled out the photographs. Faces I did not recognize stared back at me, people from a life my husband had kept hidden. Men and women who had needed him, relied on him, trusted him to act when the world failed them. And then, at the very center, a photograph of me taken secretly by him, smiling, laughing, happy, moments I had never realized he had preserved. Tears burned my eyes. He remembered me, I whispered. Every little thing, every smile, every moment I thought was forgotten. My sister nodded, her own tears falling freely now. He lived for you and for others. Every secret, every act, every risk, it was all love. And now, you finally have the whole story. Then I noticed a final folded paper at the bottom of the box. I unfolded it carefully. My hands were shaking so violently that the edges threatened to tear. You may never understand everything, but know this, I chose love, even when it was hardest. I chose truth, even when it was dangerous. And I chose you, always you. Carry my love forward, forgive me for the silence, and know that I am with you in every heartbeat, every breath, every choice. And finally, trust your own strength. The same strength that carried you through every trial will guide you now. I pressed the paper to my chest, shaking, sobbing, and feeling a weight lift that I had carried for years. The grief, the anger, the confusion, it all dissolved into a quiet, burning clarity. I looked at my sister. Everything he did, everything he hid, it was love, not just for me, but for everyone he protected. And he trusted me to know, eventually, to see the truth. She nodded, her eyes glistening. Yes, and now you do, and now you can live with it, fully, freely, and with him always in your heart. I closed the box, holding it tightly. The room seemed brighter, warmer. The shadows of grief and secrets had finally lifted, leaving only the memory of his courage, his love, and his sacrifices. I realized then that life is never simple, never fair. People carry secrets, make impossible choices, and act in ways we cannot fully understand. But love, true, selfless love, always leaves a mark, and his mark on my life was indelible. I rose from the chair, my body trembling, and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was beginning to set, painting the sky with streaks of gold and crimson. I breathed deeply, feeling the warmth of the evening on my face. For the first time since his death, I felt alive. Not just surviving, not just mourning, but truly alive, carrying his love, his courage, and his secrets as a part of me. And I knew, deep in my heart, that life would never be the same, not because of grief, not because of loss, but because of truth, love, and the quiet, extraordinary heroism of the man I had loved. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, I whispered to the empty sky, I understand you now, and I forgive you. Always. The days that followed were surreal. The letters, the photographs, the hidden box of secrets, they sat on my desk like a testament to a life I had never fully known, a life filled with courage, love, and sacrifice. I would touch them from time to time, feeling his presence in ways I hadn't thought possible. My sister and I spent hours talking, sometimes in silence, sometimes in tears, sometimes laughing through the heaviness of the past. Every story she told, every secret she revealed, every explanation of his hidden acts added another layer to my understanding, not just of him, but of myself. I realized that in mourning him, I had been mourning a version of him I thought I knew. Now, I was mourning the man I would never fully see, yet celebrating the hero he had been, quietly, unseen, in the shadows of the world. One afternoon, I found myself walking through the old park where he and I had spent lazy afternoons together. I clutched the final letter in my hand and read it once more, carry my love forward, forgive my silence, and trust your own strength. I paused on the bridge, the wind blowing gently against my face. I realized that the grief I carried could no longer chain me. It could not define me. He had given me the greatest gift, not just his love, but the ability to understand it, to honor it, and to carry it into my own life. Returning home, I began to make changes. I reached out to people I had been estranged from, reconnected with old friends, and even sought out the woman he had protected all those years. I needed to see the full circle of his life, to witness the impact of his sacrifices. Meeting her was surreal. She looked at me with eyes full of gratitude, respect, and sorrow. He saved me, she said simply, and I will never forget it. He loved you, you were always in his heart, but he couldn't let you carry the burden of the danger he was protecting me from. I nodded, tears streaming. I understand now. I understand everything. And I forgive him, and myself, for not knowing sooner. Back at home, my sister and I began rebuilding our own bond. The tension and small resentments that had lingered for years melted away, replaced with trust, honesty, and an understanding forged through shared grief and revelation. We laughed again, argued less, and shared memories of him not as a man who left us too soon, but as a hero who loved deeply and lived courageously. Then came the final act of closure. I took the letters, the photographs, the box, and buried them in a small garden plot in my backyard, under the oak tree that had witnessed so many years of my life, not as a burial of grief, but as a planting of memory, strength, and love. Each day, I watered the soil, knowing that while he was gone, his love and his courage were alive in me. I began to live differently. I took risks I had been too afraid to take before. I reached out to those in need, offered help without hesitation, and embraced life with a depth of courage and compassion I hadn't known I possessed. His silent heroism became my guide. One evening, standing on my porch with my sister by my side, I looked at the sunset, gold streaking across the sky, a reminder that life moves forward, even after darkness. "She'd be proud of you," my sister whispered, nodding toward the garden where the box rested beneath the oak tree. I smiled, a quiet, genuine smile. "He'd be proud too," I said. "And now, I can finally live in a way that honors him." The house no longer felt heavy. The past, with all its secrets and pain, had been transformed into a foundation for courage, for love, and for life. I understood finally that life isn't about knowing every detail, controlling every outcome, or avoiding pain. Life is about embracing it, every hidden truth, every secret act of love, every sacrifice, and allowing it to teach you how to live with strength, heart, and purpose. And as night fell, I felt it, a warmth in my chest, a light that could not be extinguished. He was gone, yes, but his love, his courage, and his secrets had given me a life more vivid, more profound, and more meaningful than I had ever dared to imagine. I took a deep breath, closing my eyes, and whispered into the darkness, "I understand. I forgive. I will live, and I will carry your love forward, always." The wind rustled through the trees, the stars blinked above, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt whole. The story of his life, his secrets, and his love had ended, but mine, my life, my journey, and my heart had only just begun.